Hello, welcome everyone to the Author Spotlight. Yes, it's your man Darren M. Palmer with another episode of the Author Spotlight. I'm so excited about this episode. Some people say, well, Darren, it's like you're excited a lot. Hey, man, this show is filled with change agents, thought leaders, planet shakers. If you're not excited when you're around this type of vibration, these type of people who are influencers, KPIs, baby, key people of influence, if you're not excited when you're around them, you might want to check your pulse. You might want to go to the ER because you might be dead. But anyway, this is the land of the living, and we're breathing success. And when we talk about success, I'm so excited to have this author. First of all, he's a man of God. He's a loving husband. He's a doting father. Also, he's a great businessman, and he is a PE. I'm going to let him get that into you. And no, we're not talking about exercise. We're not talking about jump rope for heart right now. We're not talking about that. Now, I'll let him break that down a little bit later. I'm just going to share a little bit about my man, Ricky Venters, just to give you an understanding about who he is. As a speaker, educator, mentor, and preacher, Ricky Venters captivates all listeners with his life story, leaving them with hope, purpose, and strength. Some may laugh, some may cry, but all will leave being impacted. Now, I shared a little bit about Ricky. And Ricky, please fill in any holes or gaps that I might have left out. You have an extensive bio, but I want the people to hear it from you about you, some of your accomplishments, and some of the certifications and degrees you have, and also about you as a husband and father as well.
Oh, absolutely. So I'll start off with the greatest thing that defines me, and that is the husband and father part of it. Because without the support of my wife and my kids, man, a lot of this stuff would not have happened, and my parents as well. I'm the husband of one man. I'm one wife.
Oh, Rick, wait, Rick, hold on now. Okay, all right, we'll cut that out. Go on, start that again. Do that again. This is why it's Author Spotlight. It's behind the scenes. It's informal. Don't worry about it, Rick.
We'll do that again. Oh, man.
Yeah, but you say you're a husband of one wife.
Yeah. So, I'm the husband of one wife, Nicole Venters. Man, we've been together now for 16 years, married for 10 great years. We have 3 beautiful and handsome boys, age of 8, 6, and 5. And I mean, where we are in our life right now is just an awesome phase, man. Our boys are more independent. They're all in school, which is a great accomplishment and a great milestone that we never thought we would get to when we were waking up all hours of the night, changing their diapers, but we're finally here, man. And that's the core of me, in my everyday life, man. But I mean, I would tell my story and say, I was just a young kid that really struggled with life in the sense of life itself. People are like, man, what do you mean struggle with life? I struggle with the actual having breath to breathe. From the age of 2 years old, it was always a challenge. Being an asthmatic, doctors would, try to diagnose me as saying, he's an asthmatic. But then they would say, all right, these are the triggers that he has. And they'll try to identify 1 or 2. But it seemed like every week another trigger would be identified until they pretty much just gave me, I had every trigger on the spectrum that an asthmatic could have. And they're like, wow, this kid, man, we don't know what the projection of his life is going to be, or the trajectory of his life is going to be. But, we got to be very careful with him. So with having that over me and just really pushing through that through my whole life, just fighting through that my whole life, other challenges were presented. And one thing I always say is that by me having to grow up adapting and fighting through the challenges of the asthmatic problems that I had, it gave me a sense of like, I don't care what comes to me. I don't care what kind of challenge comes to me. I don't care if someone says I can't do something, I'm going to fight. I know I have a fight in me, and that's what happened, man. I remember my mother came home one day. I was in 3rd grade and she told me, Rick, your teacher told me at the good old parent-teacher conferences where you're already nervous when when your mother's coming home, like, I'm waiting to hear the door open up. I'm like, oh man, what is she gonna say? You know, what's gonna happen? Because there's some things that you probably weren't doing in school, you know.
Exactly.
And so she came home. She said, Rick, your teacher said that you're not going to do anything good in mathematics. And man, that hit me hard. And it hit me hard because one, it was another challenge of someone telling me I couldn't do something. It was a limitation I was trying to be placed in my life, and like I told you, just facing limitations of being able to breathe. I was like, I didn't want something else to be a limiting factor in my life. I really internalized that, and through that, I said, you know what, man, I'm just going to give it all I got. I don't know where everything's going to end up at the end of the day, but I'm just going to give it all I got, and I did that, and I went on a journey, and I went to community college. At the community college, got my associate's degree there, focused into science and mathematics, and then went off got my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, and then. I was like, all right, well, let me get my master's degree in mechanical engineering. And when I thought the journey was over, there was a little thing that came up and said, man, you really got to go to the top with it. And I'm like, man, I really didn't want to do no more schooling. I was good at the mathematics, good at the engineering, but it wasn't really my passion. And I said, man, do I really have to keep going? But every time I wanted to stop at some point, all I kept hearing in the back of my mind was, yeah, you'll never be good at it. And I was like, all right, you know what? I got to go for it. And 2016, the state of Maryland issued me my professional engineering license, so the PE. Wow. And professional engineering license is the highest license that an engineer can obtain. Some statistics on it, only 20% of people that graduate with an engineering degree actually obtain the professional engineering license, whether that's something they didn't want to pursue or they just, didn't pass the exam, whatever it may be, but it's only 20% that go after it. And other 20%, less than 2% are minorities, so it's just like, when I finally achieved it, it was like, wow, I got here, but something told me that wasn't the end of the story. And with all the excitement that I had of obtaining this license, and reaching this point in my career, one thing I noticed was that, that 2% of only minorities achieving this level of accomplishment started to bother me. And I'm like, man, what can I do to really start giving back to the community and to the young students that are coming behind me? What can I do to give back to them and encourage them and inspire them with my story to, pursue the greatness? So that's me in a nutshell, man. And that's the mission I've been living for the last 34 years.
Wow. And, Rick, when I think about what you're sharing about your story, it leads me to think about, wow, this guy was faced with not knowing if he went to bed or one accident on the playground.
Yeah.
His life is actually gone. I fall on the ball because I'm out here playing football, which, you was a heck of a football player as well, and lose your era. I mean, you had in the back of your mind, actually death, and you experienced some certain things that that other people haven't experienced when it came to that. But live on E, 8 key elements to advance your career. Your new book.
Yeah.
With all the challenges you had with going to community college and all the layers that you had to go through, why this book? Why live on E? Why you didn't do a book on being the PE or what it took to get there? Why why it might could have been a book about something else, but why did you choose this book?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I mean, that's a great question. Great question, Darren. And I'll tell you the reason why I chose this book. And I remember going through a whole bunch of different titles and options. I remember me and you were talking about a couple of things, throwing back some ideas. And what really made me settle on this is because I was driving home one day and I forgot to get gas. And I jumped on the highway and my gas was on E.
Wow.
And all of a sudden I started to get that anxiety, like, oh man, I got to get to the next gas station before I run out. I got to get to it. When's the next exit? Am I going to make it to the next exit? Do I, the cars now give you an indication of how many miles are left in the car before you run out. Yeah, I was at 0. So I know there's probably maybe 10 to 20 miles left, but I was like, yo, I didn't know at what point I was at. Was I at the 15 mile? Was I at the 12 mile of that zero? I didn't know. And all that anxiety that was building up inside of me, I was like, wow, I'm driving on E. And this anxiety that's building up, I said, man, this is the same anxiety at some points in my life where, not knowing, like you mentioned, not knowing if I go to sleep at night, am I going to wake up in the middle of the night with an asthma attack, which happened multiple times, or when I'm outside playing, do I quit playing or do I keep running and keep playing with the kids? When I'm with my kids, do I slow down or do I keep going? And I was like, wow, that same anxiety when I had with driving on E, that's how I've been living my whole life, living on E. Mm-hmm. And I say, wow, it's crazy because that E, that empty that I was feeling, I had to learn how to push through. Despite I had to learn how to push through. But then it also made me realize, it said, by living through E and living on E, it helped me to develop some key characteristic traits that helped me propel in life. And that's where that E turned into the 8 elements that will excel, engineer, and empower your life the way it empowered mine. So that I said, once I figured, I said, you know what? That's it. That's the first book. I got to share my story. I got to share how it all began. All that other stuff will come later. That'll be in books to come. But this right here, they got to get the foundation of, what set me up to start on this trajectory of my life.
And Ricky, it's amazing that idea came to you. You had that epiphany and, that aha moment that some would say. But, okay, you got that thought. But how did you actually manifest the book that we see on your website, the book that I have in my library? What made you think that you could do it? Because for those who don't know, Ricky has a busy schedule. And I know a lot of us are complaining about what we have to do, but our schedule is nowhere close to Ricky's. If I was a betting man, I would put some money on that. But I'm just saying, he got his, with his wife, his children, he runs a business, he has a podcast, he has other work that he's doing. He got a nonprofit. He's active in his community, in his church. He's attending conferences. He's fully aware that he must continue to have personal and professional development in his career, and just him as a man as a whole. He's pouring into people, counseling. So Rick, could you just share with us, what made you think you could do a book?
Yeah.
And then secondly, give us a hack or two that you use to fit it into your busy schedule.
Oh yeah, man. Another great question. So what inspired me to write this book, and how did I realize that, okay, this is something I can do? I got to put it the way it came to me, man, unapologetically, So every year I'll sit down and I'm like, all right, God, man, what do you want me to do? Like, what's my next move? Like, what's the next thing you want me to achieve? And I remember sitting down in 2004, October 2004, and he gave me 2 things to do. He said, I want you to get your PE, your professional engineering license, and I want you to write a book. Those are the next 2 in that order. And it took me a couple of years almost a year to get the PE. So we came around to, it wasn't until around 2016 where I was like, wow, he told me to write this book, and I'm sitting there like, why haven't I written it yet? But here's the thing. I believe that he's not going to tell you to do something and then not try and not bring people around you or show you a way and how to make it happen. So what happened was being a part of Breathe University and a network full of people that are inspired, where I met Darren himself, and we started working together with some other of our colleagues, and we said, hey, they were writing books. I was like, man, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at them like, man, they all had books in their hands. And I was like, wait a minute. They did it. They wrote a book. And I was like, Rick, man, what are you sitting on, man? Why are you sitting on this? You have the book in your head. Like, it's just about sitting down and getting it done. So once I saw that and just really got inspired by, like I said, 2 individuals, particularly, Brian Thomas and Darren Palmer, I said, you know what? I had to sit down and really figure out how to make this happen. And now having that thought process in my head, I'm looking at my schedule like, how in the world am I gonna sit down and write a book? What's the very first thing I need to do to even start writing this book? And I remember I said, you know what? Let me just sit down and just think of just different concepts. Think of different elements or characteristic traits, and just do some research on it. Just do some reading on it. And I did some reading on it, some leisure reading. And what I did, I started substituting a little bit more of my downtime that I had. And when I say downtime, we can always find 15 minutes where we're just, spaced out doing something, no matter how busy someone is, there's always that time frame. And I said, let me start substituting with that and start reading different things and just studying and researching and just remembering, reflecting on the stories that have happened in my life. And what I did was that turned into me writing some articles about each of the different topics. And I was like, wow, I got 8 articles here written, but I can't just put the articles together and be a book. It won't be long enough. So, but how can I write a book now? And I say, you know what, man? All right. One lesson that I learned from one of my mentors when I was studying for my professional engineering license, he said, Rick, I need you to commit to do one problem a day. I know you're busy, but I need you to commit to do one problem today. That's it. And build off of that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take that same concept into writing. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to spend at least a half an hour every single day and just start writing. And that half an hour turned into an hour, and then it turned to a half an hour. And then being the STEM person that I am, the engineering person I am, I started calculating how long it was taking me to write within that time frame. And then I was like, all right, if I project this out for 8 weeks, this is where I should be. If I project this out for 16 weeks, this is where I should be. But it all started off with me just being consistently just diligent enough to say, let me sit down for that half an hour and just pour my mind out, pour my heart out into this computer. And then don't worry about editing. Don't worry about doing any of that stuff. Just start. And that's why that's Darren, I would say, is the thing, the mechanism that I use to really just get this thing going forward. And by the time at the end of the day, I look back and the book was done.
Wow. Yeah. Wow, man, it was done. And it's just like that. It doesn't take a whole lot, huh, Rick?
No.
Just really staying consistent and being focused more than anything, allow for you to create time.
Yeah. Yep.
Actually creating time and, being able to accomplish your goal. And like you said, for those who are listening, what Mr. Venters is sharing with us is that it works in every area of your life. Mm-hmm. This is why we created. This is why this is informal. This is like we're at your local, Java or coffee shop, Starbucks, whatever you want to call it, tea, hot water with lemons, honey, whatever you want to call it. But the same principles for success leave clues. And so whether it be writing a book or whether it be in his profession or as, with a mentor telling him how to get projects done, it doesn't matter. If it's even in a marriage, or even with your kids, just focusing on one thing at a time, being diligent, focusing and perfecting the small things, executing on the small things, it creates a domino effect. And next thing you know, now on Amazon, now book lunch, now you see book signings, now speaking again, Rick is doing it. Now he's not just an individual who's showing up to the event empty-handed now. Now he is a published author. Now, would you agree with all that, what we just talked about, Rick?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. I agree with all that. It doesn't take a huge effort. It's the small things that you do consistently over time is going to give you the big results. A lot of us try to shoot for that big thing real quick. And I'm going to tell you this, Darren, I don't think I ever told you this before. I spent more time trying to research how to write a book than I did actually writing this book. I mean, I spent months in the past, like, let me look up this method of writing a book. Let me look up that method of writing a book. And I was just doing more and more reading about writing a book versus just sitting down and just start putting the pen to paper. It's that easy, the easy part of it. I was like, man, what am I doing to myself? So I said, sit down, spend that half an hour. And one thing I did too, though, and one thing that you'll find yourself doing in this process is as you start with that small step, and I started that small step, over time, that small thing is starting to start taking priority over a lot of other things. And even as you are, as busy as you are in your life, families, work, other volunteer obligations, whatever it may be, you'll start seeing, all right, no, this is a priority now. So I may have to lose a little bit of sleep. I may not be able to go to this social event. I may not, and it's not because you don't want to go, or you're trying to punish yourself and say not go, but you just feel like, oh, I'm just so excited that I'm getting so close to finishing this thing that it's worth sacrificing just a weekend. It's worth sacrificing just an event just so that I can have something that will last forever. You know, and when I start realizing now, it's like, yeah, this is good right here.
And that's great, Rick. And this is a perfect time, for us to segue into this next question that I want to hear from you, because you've been published for a while now. How has publishing a book changed your life? What are some of the effects? I mean, whether it be like the family, the legacy piece, whether it be co-workers or in ministry, speaking engagements, having something tangible to be able to give to people. Could you just, expound upon that a little bit for the audience, Rick?
Man, another great question, man. Wow. The very first thing I would say, and I have a couple of things I'll share. The very first thing that I would say was when my books were mailed to the house.
Wow.
The very first comment that I was met with in the book was from my youngest son. And he said, "Hey, Daddy, is that you on the cover? Is that your book? Oh, Daddy, that's Daddy's book." They see books all the times in the house, but now all of a sudden they see Daddy's book. And that right there, that showed me is like, wow, Rick, you just set a benchmark for your boys, man, that is gonna, for legacy purposes, man, now they're gonna always know that, yeah, this is something that I can do. Why? Because my daddy has done it. And I didn't realize how powerful that was until I started tapping into that even for myself, for my father. I watched what my father has done, and I'm like, man, if my father did it, man, I could be able to do that. I just got to just learn how to do it. Boom, or ask questions. And so I realized, like, wow, just doing this added so much more to their lives, my three boys. The second thing is for all the people that have been supporting me for all the years and that knew that I had the potential of doing it, they were able to celebrate with me. And that felt so good, man. I mean, for all these years, I'm like, man, I want to find ways to add value to people. I want to find more ways to even build a business and different things of that nature. When I had this product, and I had the product here, when I had it in my hand and I walked up to my hometown, my hometown just like, they flooded in and was like, yo, we always knew you can do it. And they were all there to celebrate with me. They all purchased the book, and it made me feel so good that, wow, they believed in me, And then thirdly, I would say, man, it adds so much more credibility as I go out and I do speaking. I got a call one day from an organization, and they said, hey, do you know of any male mentorship programs? I was like, oh, really? Male mentorship program? Wow. I said, well, you just contacted the right person. I have a mentorship program, and not only do I have a mentorship program, but I have a curriculum to go with the book that I wrote. So right off the bat, they said, okay, we have X amount of students. Can we purchase all those books and the curriculum with it? I said, absolutely. So before I even walked in the door, they already had the shipment of the books at the place waiting for me.
Wow. See, I mean, you can't make this up
so much, man. So it's just having that level of credibility, and just that platform now to where people. I'll speak at a lot of different places. I've spoken many places, but it feels so good to be able to leave something behind, other than a business card. And leave some words, leave my thoughts into students' hands, into educators' hands, into young professionals' hands, and allow them to actually go through my brain and go through my life and walk through that journey with me. And at the end, see, wow, if he can do it, I can do it too. So, yeah.
That's phenomenal. And I want those who are tuning in to make sure that you gather the information. Ricky has showed you multiple ways that the book has just taken his life to a new level. And not, let me make sure I get this out correctly. It's the overflow effect that I like to say. It not only is it's encouraging to him, but the overflow is impacting others around him, from his household to his boys, to his local community. Yes, he got a great feeling, but look at the high, the natural high, the spiritual high that's been given to all those who are connected around him. And it also opens the doors for others to experience that, you know what, I can do it too. By those, the school that he attended or the program that he attended. And wow, this is the guy that's on the book. You know, that feel when he comes in the room that, whoa, the students are looking like, whoa, that's him. That's the guy, right? I mean, he's right in front of us. So, and let's just make a note of this. And I'm not because I got plenty of friends in these different areas. He's not a professional athlete. He's not a rapper. He's not, he's not Oprah or something like this. He's not Warren Buffett and anything yet. I'm not saying he's not going there, but he shows you that he's doing extraordinary things, that he's still making an impact. And for those of you out there, I want you to be encouraged by Ricky's story to know, just like his community said to him, we're saying it to each and every one of you. We know that you can do it. We know that you can do it out there, whether it be getting your degree like Ricky when it did. He had to take some stops on the way. I mean, had to hit some bumps and bruises. He didn't just go to an Ivy League school and have it all perfect with a platinum spoon in his mouth. He had some bumps and bruises on his journey to success, and he's steady evolving and continued to learn. But he continued to go after it. And I'm just thinking about, I call it the beget system, of how many people are being impacted because he chose to move. We don't know how many people are being impacted, how many children from that program who went on to do other things are going to do great things that'll be a part of the Supreme Court later on. It could be the next president. It could be the next CEO or whatever that may be. So, Rick, I just want you to share with the audience too, because you're opening up so much, and you expose us to you doing keynotes, workshops. You speak for associations. You got a podcast. You got a lot going on. Could you share with the audience where they can find out more about you? They can book you for their event. They can call on you for consulting and coaching. Listen to your podcast. Any way that they can find out about you, whether it's social media handles or websites, any information. Could you share that with them right now, please?
Yeah, absolutely. The main place where the source of all of my information is on my website, and that's rickyventers.com. This is the spelling of my name, rickyventers.com. On there, you will see information for my social media, Instagram. You also see my Facebook page, as well as my Twitter account. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm really just trying to get more better on Twitter. I haven't been tweeting a lot, but I'm there. But also for the podcast, you also see a link to the podcast. We have a podcast called the STEM Dialogue. We've been going now for almost 2 years now. And through that podcast, what we do is we highlight people in the STEM industry, just get more exposure, let people see that, hey, people are in STEM are just like you, have similar backgrounds. And if you just stick with it, you will make it through the journey. And also I have a brand new podcast that I'm hosting, and we are launching the middle of October, called Average is Failure podcast. And that is really to really go out to young African-American professionals, talk about our failures and success and our journey to become successful, to become wealthy, to become of significance in the world that we're around. So yeah, stay tuned for that one as well. But everything's right on my website, rickyventers.com.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome, Rick. Man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. I mean, I told y'all, Ricky is the truth. I'm just honored and privileged to have that connection with Ricky, and because for his family. I mean, the guy is who he say he is, and you can't say that about a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people flip flop, but Ricky is the same dude. He's the same person. He's genuine. What he's saying, he's really about that. If he can help you if there's anything he can do, he's going to try his best to do it, or try to get you in touch with somebody who might know. Whatever he can do to assist, to help you, he will do that. And that's not an act. He's not faking about that. He's totally being transparent and being genuine as he can be here. And so I want those of you who know you need Ricky for your program. You need Ricky to come in to be your keynote speaker. Don't hesitate on this guy. You're hearing it here first from Darren M. Palm. This guy's legit. He's going to do a wonderful job. He's a true professional. He's not going to take it lightly. And I guarantee you'll be asking him to come back. And he showed you his credentials. I mean, and plus he got a heart, a big heart. I know he's not from the area, but he got a heart the size of Texas, so to speak. So he got a great heart. And my
wife's from Texas, so I'll take from her. I'll borrow from her heart.
Oh, you borrow from her? That's right. I knew it was something special about you, Rick. I knew it was something special about you. So we can have that. And Rick, before we leave today, could you give some parting piece of advice for that individual out there who's thinking, wow, man, this guy got it going on, man, got beautiful wife, great kids. I mean, he's reached, the pinnacle far as, being certified as a PE. He's doing amazing things. He's a speaker. He got books. He got 2 podcasts. He got all this stuff going on. I can see why he got a story, but I'm just me from Timbuktu, or I'm me from New Jersey. I'm me outside. I'm from Oakland. I'm from, Boise, Idaho. I don't think my story counts. Could you share with that individual who's straddling the fence, and could you share with them the importance of why they need to share their story with the world, Rick?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I'm going to tell you, I struggle with this a lot, even growing up, feeling that I had any type of value. Why would someone want to hear my story? What's so significant about me? What great things have I done to tell the world? And one thing I said to myself is, I'm going to stop trying to be that great person to the world and just be that great person to my neighbor. And just share my story with my neighbor. And from sharing my story with my neighbor, my story got shared to the next neighbor and the next neighbor. You don't wake up one day and start talking to 500, 600, 1,000 people in an arena or a gymnasium or whatever it may be, or auditorium. That's not what you start off with. You start off with talking to your friend, talking to your family, talking to your brother, talking to your colleague. And what I would say is just start where you are. I am a big, one thing that holds me back is that I like to calculate everything through. And if I don't see everything add up, sometimes it's called paralysis by analysis, and, what I would hate for you to do is to sit there and not be able to see the value that you have in yourself, your unique story. Everyone has a unique story. That's what makes us great. Everyone has a unique story. And what's going to make us great as a nation, what's going to make us great as a people, is when everyone shares their unique story, their unique self with the world, so that that diversity will bring everyone closer together. And that's what I believe in my heart, man. And I want to tell you today, start where you are. Wow. And just believe that you are enough.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, hey, drop the mic. Ricky has done it again. He's done it again. Be inspired, be uplifted, be encouraged, and know that what Mr. Venters is sharing with you is nothing but the truth. Share your story. Cast it upon the waters. You never know. If it's one life that you can help, if it's one person you can save, if it's one person that you can impact, hey, I think it would be worth it to share your story with the world. But Ricky, I thank you so much again, man, for coming on to the time of your schedule, getting the boys to sleep, and you tell your wife that I appreciate the Southern hospitality with sharing her Boaz with us tonight, her Kendrick Redeemer with us tonight.
I really want to say, man, thank you, man, for all you've done. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for living in your purpose. Awesome. Because by you living in your purpose, I was able to start walking in mine. So, man, thank you for everything. And, man, I pray blessings upon everything that you're doing. And that this right here goes to the whole nation and lives change.
Man, I thank you so much, Ricky. And I just want to share it to the audience out there. Make sure that you follow Ricky. We're going to have the information in the show notes. Make sure that you connect with Ricky. Follow him. Get onto the podcast. Go back. listen to some older podcasts, catch up, catch all the way up, act like Hines and Hunt and catch up. Make sure you catch up to what Ricky has going on. I'm telling you, you'll be empowered. He has a lot of guests on there who are sharing and giving you value bombs, giving you nuggets that will enrich your life. So don't miss out on this and just think just one interview. You need more of this guy. I'm telling you, it's more than what we just shared here. If we only had a certain amount of time, that we could be here. So take full advantage of all those resources that he has shared with you and get him at your next event. And hey, this is your man, Darren L. Palmer, with another episode of the Author Spotlight. Remember, this is for the planet shakers, the change agents, those who are making it up and being extraordinary. And you hear what I said, making it up. Ricky didn't have to have it all figured out. I didn't have to have it all figured out. But the nugget I want to leave us with today is what Ricky shared at the end. Start where you are. Yeah. It might seem made up to everybody else at the time. Before he was a PE, he went to community college. So, it seemed far removed at the time. But, now here he is right now. Here I am right now. And we're here together. And the same thing about your story. Remember, this is the year for your new book. Make sure if you need any assistance with your book, if you want to join the Authors Club just like Ricky and like me, you can reach out to me or a member of my team at Self-Publish Your Letter in 30 days. We would love to assist you sharing your story with the world. Thank you again, Rick, for coming on tonight, my man.
Thank you. All right, everyone, have a good one.
All right, have a good one, sir.